Hi everybody, this is Willow Kelly, your CEO, and I'm here with...
Richard Tolson, your 2024 president.
That's right, Outer Banks Association of Realtors. We're going to talk about something that came up at the general membership meeting on Wednesday. Big crowd there for the panel discussion on the NAR settlement issues. And one of those things, one of the first questions that was asked was about concessions versus compensation, and is concessions compensation? So we're going to cover a few things today here on concessions. First, I'd just like for everyone to know, go to facts.realtor. Facts.realtor, you can find all kinds of information from the NAR settlement agreement. They have a great FAQ page that you can download and print out. And it's about 31 pages, but if you go through these FAQs, you will know so much more than you probably know right now. And so we're going to cover a few of these things in concessions. And another thing is the difference between when we say compensation and commission. We're trying to get away from the term commission. That was kind of one of the things, a percentage and whatnot, and we're trying to stress the value of the realtor, the value of working with a realtor, and compensation and your value. And you and I have had conversations about that and how you convey that to your buyers, right?
Yes. So let's talk about that just a minute, Willow.
Sure.
We all know that we can no longer put compensation in the MLS.
It's gone.
It's gone.
The field is gone. All fields.
But the one thing we can put in the MLS, which we've always been able to do, is concessions. So to try to make this easy for you, we have a field in there that's called concessions considered.
Yes, and we did change that. Pre-sale concessions was the original name, and we did change that because we heard some comments.
There was some confusion and so we made it very simple, concessions considered. But keep in mind that this is not binding on any part. This is just something that basically tells the agents that, you have a flexible seller. They're willing to work with you. They may be willing to do concessions. If you call that agent, you may find out that they're also willing to do compensation. So the important thing is to know that this is not a mandatory field. You have the option of checking yes, no, or you can just leave it blank.
And the big thing there with concessions is concessions are for the buyer.
Concessions are for the buyer. In other words, the buyer controls those funds.
Correct.
And with concessions, they can pay buy downs, repairs, closing costs, even to include compensating their buyer's agent.
Mm-hmm. But that is between once the buyer has those concessions in hand, then it is up to the buyer to then pay their realtor's compensation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
let's just go over a few things here with the NAR FAQs. It starts on page 23, concessions. Is there an NAR policy about seller concessions? No. MLSs will continue to have local discretion on seller concessions. This includes determining what local rules to have about seller concessions. So in our local MLS, OBAR MLS, run by our MLS committee and our director, Dan Sutherland, we determined that we were including concessions in our MLS, that we felt it important, and in negotiating, correct?
Absolutely.
And that's what it's all about. Can an MLS have a yes-no seller concession field that indicates whether a seller is offering any concession? Yes. It's a matter of local discretion. So there you go. We've met that. Is an MLS required to have a concession field?
No.
That is absolutely
not
no.
have that.
If my MLS removes the compensation field, can I choose to publish my cooperative commission offer in the agent remarks?
That is a big no.
Big no-no. Very big no-no. Can MLSs allow decimal points to be used for seller concessions?
You actually can, but we are probably advising that you better off using a flat number or just basically leaving it blank and having the agent call you and discuss it
right
outside of the MLS.
While NAR says it's a matter of local discretion, and it may depend on MLS's technological capabilities and what an MLS deems to be in the best interest of its market. So, we're being advised, we're hearing, interviews with the plaintiff's attorney, don't try to find a workaround about the compensation. In the past, you would handle a transaction in that the seller, the listing agent represented the seller, right? The listing agent represents the seller. The buyer's agent represents the buyer, but the buyer's agent could go into the MLS to see compensation being offered.
That's correct.
Right? We know other MLSs in this country where that was a filterable field. And we know one particular MLS in this country that through a local association has already gone through, was sued and has already gone through $1 million just in the discovery phase. Here in North Carolina, we're better than 32 other states because we had buyer agency agreements in place. So that was a great protection for us, but where compensation is no longer there. So it's kind of defining the line that the buyer's agent represents the buyer, the seller's agent represents the seller, right? The listing agent. But through that, there's cooperation. You just can't put that compensation anywhere in the MLS or anything associated with the MLS. Showing time?
Well, no, you can't put it in showing time either. That's a benefit of the MLS.
No attachments? What about attachments?
No attachments.
No, you cannot attach a document that has any form of compensation in it.
If we look at the spirit of the settlement, what folks need to understand is what they want to try to do is let free market forces set commissions.
Correct.
And therefore, that's why we're now being asked to negotiate commissions with our buyers before we even start to look at properties. And also why it's not a transparent thing in the MLS anymore of what compensation is being offered. So we do allow compensation to still be paid by sellers, but keep in mind that is something that maybe is going to be negotiated more at the time the offer is initiated.
There was one question that did come up. Will seller concessions communicated on an MLS be binding on the seller? And NAR did answer this, that as a general matter, seller concessions usually aren't binding until they're established in an executed contract, such as a listing agreement or a purchase contract.
We always know that it's not binding unless it's in writing. So
that's right.
Just making an offer of compensation or making an offer of a concession is not binding until you actually have it in writing and it's signed and agreed to by all parties.
I think we've covered a lot on concessions. Can you think of anything else?
I would just say that, you know, as your president, I am here for you. So you can please call me anytime you have questions. I'm happy to listen to your concerns, and we can certainly talk about the new rules and how we need to act within them. So please call me anytime.
All right, and feel free to call the office here. Dan Sutherland, the MLS director. Tammy Aycock is your MLS committee chair, and I know we fielded a lot of questions over the past few weeks. It was very refreshing to see the emeritus inductees.
Oh, yes.
And hear from those folks that, you know, have been in this business for 40 plus years and say, you know what? This is all going to be fine. You know, there's a lot of questions right now, concerns. Oh my gosh, am I checking the right box? Am I doing this? But you know, hopefully in 3 months when we have our CYA Summit, Cover Your Assets with Lee Brown, this is all about protecting yourself and know your value. We are having that Thursday, November 14th at the Hilton Garden Inn Ballroom. It has been moved from the Kitty Hawk Pier to the ballroom from 1 to 5, VIP reception at 6:30. We have now opened it up to more folks to be able to attend. It is for property managers and brokers. I'm sure we'll be talking about concessions there, Richard. Yeah. And go online to our calendar, outerbanksrealtors.com. Scroll down, you can see all that we are bringing forward to you to help you through this time frame. So,
I've already signed up. Space is limited, so get on the bandwagon.
There you go.
I hope everybody has a great weekend, and good luck out there, guys.
That's right.
Talk to you soon.
I think we've wrapped it on concessions. Have a great day.
Bye.